Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. We're here set to discuss the Real Madrid versus Kairat Almaty game, which finished 5-0 to Real Madrid. Impressive result from Real Madrid. A little bit of a mid-first half, but Real Madrid, when the space was opening up in the second half, absolutely slaughtered Kairat Almaty. And I don't think there are that many talking points going from this game. And I mean, it's a usual stat pad session for Madrid here against Kairat Almaty, but there are stuff to discuss going from that Atletico Madrid game and looking at the future of Real Madrid. Real Madrid 3.32 XG, 20 shots, 12 shots on target, 8 big chances, 4 big chances missed. This is what you expect when you see the quality disparity between Real Madrid and Kairat Almaty. Finishing them off well, creating enough chances. A lot of it came in the second half, as you can see. In the first half, only 3 big chances created, whilst in the second half, 5 big chances created, but that was obviously with the space that opened up. Madrid even had a little bit less position because Kairat Almaty had a little bit of the ball, wanted to do something in the offensive third, but Madrid just very deadly from the counter-attack. And yeah, let's go into the individual performances. Nothing really to say. I mean, the goalkeeper, it was clear this dude is an 18-year-old, unexperienced, not good enough keeper, but tried his best, and there really isn't anything to say. Dusan Satpayev, I know that he's like their biggest talent. I also heard like Chelsea's bought him or something. I even read his comments before the game. He said something, we'll try to do like Atletico Madrid and beat Real Madrid, obviously, which did not happen. But now let's talk about the team. Courtois getting an assist, great for Courtois, saving some easy shots that came towards him, nothing special. Asensio obviously playing as a right back with Carvajal and Trent being out for I think 4 weeks, something like that. Asensio has to start getting more used to this role, but decent game. But obviously this will be a big weakness in the big games, especially if Carvajal and Trent miss El Clásico versus FC Barcelona. Rashford, Rafinha, if he's going to be available, are going to have fun. Dean Huijsen, amazing performance, 8.7 rating on a centre-back without a GA is very hard to get. Why? He won the most duels, and I don't think they will show it here. Passes into the final third, like his progressive passes, very huge in this game, especially in the first half when Kairat was sitting a little bit deep. Good to see Alba coming back as a depth option, getting some minutes and doing some stuff. Fran Garcia also coming in as a backup for Carreras this game, having a decent game, nothing special from him. Ceballos playing in the double pivot, and you definitely saw more control from the Madrid midfield in the double pivot. Instead of playing at Tchouaméni, Valverde, Ceballos coming in, playing in the double pivot alongside Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni, especially in the first half, struggled a bit because he had to control the ball, and we know that's not his best quality. In second half, didn't do that much either. But here is where the talking points will come up. And one thing I've noticed with Xabi Alonso at Real Madrid, one great thing he's brought into the team is the competition. Competition is so good at the highest level. We saw that from Manchester City's Pep Guardiola. Competition is key. Fran Garcia, he should be competing with Carreras. He should be putting pressure on him. That will make Carreras even better. For the centre-back positions, obviously with Rudiger being injured, Asensio not having to play as a right back until Carvajal and Trent coming back is, it's a weakness for Madrid in the upcoming weeks, but we'll see how they deal with that. But going into the attack, Franco Mastantuono had a decent game, won the penalty, had some good touches, and then Brahim Diaz comes on, scores a goal. That's the competition you want to see, because Brahim Diaz, for those 70 minutes, he was sitting on the bench, he was seeing what Franco was doing, and he was telling himself, I can do better, put me on. Plays 20 minutes, gets the goal at the end. Arda Güler, great performance from Arda Güler. And this is the first talking point. I want to go back to that Atletico Madrid game. Why did Xabi Alonso put Arda Güler on the right so he could play Bellingham? Xabi Alonso has to stay consistent with his competition. He has to remove PR. You heard that right. He has to remove PR. There was absolutely no reason for Jude Bellingham to start over Arda Güler in his main position where he's been cooking this season. Arda Güler has created like 20 plus chances in all of his games this season, but he decided to play Bellingham due to PR. Not due to ability, not due to performances, but due to PR. And that's something that Xabi Alonso has to stay consistent with. If you're going to do this competition, you got to play fair. You got to play who's better, not PR, not hairline, not girlfriend, not light skin, none of that. You got to strictly play it for football. Arda Güler is a footballer. And as I mentioned, it's quite clear. Brahim Diaz and Franco are competing for the right wing position. For the number 10, it's quite clear who Arda Güler is competing with. It's Jude Bellingham. Because Jude Bellingham is not competing with the deep playing midfielders. He cannot play in that position. People used to call him a box-to-box. Bellingham is not a box-to-box. He's closer to a striker than he is to midfielder. I would call him a fourth midfielder or a second striker. But he's going to be competing with Arda Güler this season. And I'm going to be honest, it's early on, but we've always known that Arda Güler is a better football player than Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham can impact games with his GA, which is still really great. But when it comes to the football, the chances created. Mbappe doesn't want to have a goal scorer behind him. Mbappe wants to have a playmaker behind him. If you want to get the best out of Kylian Mbappe, which we will come to, you want to have Arda Güler in that spot. Then we'll come to the other competition spot. Vinicius Jr. versus Rodrigo. Vinicius Jr. on the pitch for 70 minutes. 2 shots. Should have had an assist for the Mbappe one, but obviously missed a huge chance himself. And then you have Rodrigo, his backup, coming on, getting an assist, and being influential in that Mbappe hat-trick goal as well, and having some good touches and everything. Once again, that competition. Rodrigo, clear. He is competing with Vinicius, and Xabi Alonso has been clear with that. Both of them are competing for that left wing position. And I mean, next game, it should be Rodrigo starting based off the performance, based off the ability we saw, and that will potentially make Vinicius Jr. perform even better. The thing is, though, we know Vinicius Jr. mentality. When it gets tough for Vinny, instead of becoming tougher, he becomes weaker. He will post something on Instagram and be mad that Xabi Alonso subbed him out whilst Mbappe got to play 11 minutes extra. So we'll see Vinicius' reaction to this, which will be absolutely big. But shout out to Rodrigo coming on and performing well. But as I said, the competition is really good. Camavinga also coming on, getting a good goal for him, and Garcia getting a cheeky assist there towards the end. That's very good to see. But Kylian Mbappe, the big talking point about this game, I think it's like 15, 14 goals so far this season. It is a lot of penalties. 6 out of them are penalties, but Kylian Mbappe is definitely back to his best. For me, the funniest thing about Mbappe now performing at this level is the people that were defending him last season. Is the people that were saying, no, Mbappe is the best player, or is still insane and one of the best players in the world. Mbappe was not one of the best players in the world last season, especially when you look at the big games where, you know, the supposed best players are supposed to rise up. But now we can see Mbappe. He scored in every single game so far this season, apart from one game, a 2-1 victory versus Mallorca. And he also did it in the Atletico Madrid game. In a big game, they 1-0 down at the Metropolitano. We still got to see more sample size from Mbappe being able to do it in the bigger games when there is more pressure on him and Real Madrid. But it's been a great start. It's been a wonderful start from Mbappe. And the thing is, it's not just a hat-trick. Even if you remove the hat-trick from Mbappe today, it was still a good game from Kylian Mbappe. 8 shots, 3 chances created, that back heel to Vinny, some other opportunities he created as well, and obviously had 2 big chances missed, so could have done even more. 2 out of 4 successful dribbles. And that's the thing with Mbappe, is the constant threat. If you're a defender, Mbappe is basically the last player you want to play against. Insane pace, insane shooting ability, great playmaking, great dribbling. So he's becoming a more complete version of himself, unlike last season where it was mostly goals. It wasn't that much great movement. Now we're seeing more runs from Mbappe. We're seeing the hunger. He missed a big opportunity. What does he do? He gets mad at himself. We can see that Kylian Mbappe finally has a high expectation of himself. And last season, you know, it was a blessing in disguise for Kylian Mbappe, because last season was so bad for Mbappe. He had a horrendous season. He saw Paris Saint-Germain, the club that he left, the club that he was at for 7 seasons trying to win a Champions League, saw them lift the Champions League. And Mbappe finally saw himself in the mirror, because that has been for me the biggest critique with Mbappe. He does not honestly look at himself in the mirror, critiquing himself and having a high expectation of himself. But I think that's exactly what Mbappe did last season. He put pressure on himself going into the season and put high expectations of himself. He was like, I'm Kylian Mbappe, you're Kylian Mbappe, you gotta do this. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Kylian Mbappe so far this season. Definitely the number 1 contender for the Ballon d'Or, followed by Harry Kane, definitely. So it's a great start from Kylian Mbappe to the season for Madrid. And I've seen some similarities, you know, 21-22 Mbappe. I think this is the best version of Mbappe since that season. I predicted it before the season started, and Mbappe is showing me right. And the thing with Mbappe in 21-22, he was the highest highest assister in PSG, highest goal scorer, highest dribbler, highest chance creator, everything. And that's Mbappe what he wants, and that's when he can perform at his absolute best. It's when you surround Mbappe with selfless playmakers like a Franco, like a Güler, like a Rodrigo, that will absolutely get the best out of Kylian Mbappe And I think that's what Madrid are doing. They're building the entire team around Kylian Mbappe. I still think you can play Jude Bellingham as a striker with Mbappe in the left, because then Jude can drop a bit, Mbappe can go there. Jude loves to drop to the left side spaces. So for me, the vintage stuff has to stop. You can play Rodrigo. He's selfless. He's more of a... He can also play make, but... It is clear the direction Madrid are going in. It is clear the direction Xabi Alonso is going in. And Mbappe, 5 goals in 2 Champions League games so far. I know 3 of them are penalties, but I think he's already scored basically the same amount of goals as he did last season for Real Madrid in the Champions League. Yes, versus Marseille and Kairat, but it's a huge improvement from last season from Mbappe. It is an improvement from Real Madrid from last season. It's a good reaction and a revenge, as Valverde mentioned in his press conference after that humiliating Atletico Madrid defeat. But yeah, the big games is what will decide Madrid after that, capitulation versus Atletico Madrid. Let's quickly take a look at their fixtures. Villarreal is a cheeky game. Getafe away can be tough. Juventus. But then these are the 2 big games where we will dictate, where we will decide how great truly is this Real Madrid team. Liverpool, Barca coming up. That's been it from my boy PSG. Make sure to tune in for the live watch along I'll be having. And as usual, allez Paris.